ScoreLine, and you talk about talent. We're talking about the young talent that we have in the country in matters to do with football, and that is after they went out and were able to win the Chapa Dimba 2018 edition. And those are the Plateau Queens. They are doing a very, very good thing, and welcome back, because you've taken a short break, even you. They're doing a very good thing, you'll agree, because nurturing this talent is something that a lot of people don't take with the seriousness that it deserves.
That's why I'm keeping my fingers crossed for them. I was talking to one of the officials behind the scenes as I enjoyed my break, and I said to him, I hope you guys will be able also to talk to clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea, because they have women's teams. Talk to them, and there's no harm in that. Talk to them as well and see how best they can come into the picture, these young ladies, in terms of, is there a future for them in England? Can they sign up and not have to come back home here and make the most of their talents out there in England? He told me that part of their itinerary will be to meet Victor Wanyama of Tottenham FC, who's the Kenyan captain of Harambee Stars, and also plays, obviously, for Tottenham, does very well over there. And he's going to introduce them to the Tottenham ladies team, which is brilliant. But I asked them to cast the net wider. When you cast the net wider, you're bound to catch more fish, I would imagine. So talk to other clubs as well and see, because one of these ladies, you remember when we featured them 2 weeks ago, she mentioned that she would like to go pro in England, which is nice. Go professional. There's no harm in that.
Actually, that was Berry Lashituku, the lady who was sitting that side.
Yes, yeah. I recognize her face. It's the name that I didn't get. Yes. And see how best they can build a future in England. Wanyama has built his life in England. I mean, so it's way to go. They'd make the most of that there than they would over here, with all due respect. So and he said it's a brilliant idea. They'll look at ways and means of doing so. And I asked him to get in touch with the Kenyan High Commission in London, see whether they have contacts with these clubs, and approach them from that angle, because maybe it would have more weight when the Kenyan High Commission in London approaches them. But then they don't have to anyway. If they can't go using that route, they can go there using a Victor Wanyama, who's perhaps even a better source of networking, or go there as the individual selves and find out how possible it would be to go that route.
You talk about that talent, and yes, it is something that they ought to do. So we wait and see. They did what they were supposed to do in the country, and they have that trip to go to London, something that they ought to use, and use the good way, actually, that they can. Let's still talk about football now, not Chapa Dimba, but the Kenyan Premier League. I know we had a host of local matches, the Kenyan Premier League matches that were on the menu. That is on Saturday. And today we also have different matches. But on Saturday, let's just take a look at the different results that we had. I'm talking about a very, very big result that we had. I know that is now on the other board. But before that, let's talk about Kariobangi Sharks, who went down against Kakamega Homeboyz. You talk about Kakamega Homeboyz, a side that is trying to be as impressive as they can this time out. Sofapaka against Chemelil Sugar, it was a 1-1 draw, because neither of those sides were able to get the winning goal. Bandari FC, they were playing at their home turf. A substitution gave them a much-needed 3 points. We talked about AFC Leopards, and we were saying about how their form is going down. And against Bandari, you had said they would have lost that game, and that is how it actually became. They lost. Bandari looking like the better side after yesterday's result.
They did give Bandari a good run for their money, so I must give credit where due. Leopards deserve it. But obviously, predictably, Bandari won. And I think Leopards are going through a sort of small crisis, not a major issue. They're going on a dip, which is normal. No graph, as I said, goes up, 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 and doesn't come down. And also, at the hellmanship, in terms of managerial level, or rather the coach, they're doing interviews for the next coach. So there's a bit of a loose end there. They don't have a confirmed manager. And this is a side that shows that with a good manager, they can grab and bring out the best potential in them. Remember, at some point, they were 15th or somewhere there. And then they came all the way up to number 3 once they brought in a new coach, caretaker coach in Mr. Kitambi. So with a confirmed, solid coach, and I hope the best man wins out of their ongoing interviewing process, Leopards could be a side to look out to. Congratulations to Bandari FC. They made the most of it. They knew they're meeting AFC Leopards that's not at its full strength, and they caged the Leopard. Congratulations to them.
We're talking about AFC Leopards, and yes, there is an Argentine coach. He's called Rodolfo Zapata, who might be signing a 6-month contract with the Leopards. So we will wait and see how that will go. Maybe he will be the big man in charge, Rodolfo Zapata, who actually he labeled AFC Leopards as one of the biggest clubs in the continent. So he's seen the big cats maybe are sleeping. Another result that we had is Zukericho against Tusker FC. You talk about Zukericho, and people are saying that maybe they have been the whooping boys of the season, but against Tusker, a side that have tested how sweet it can be to win the Kenyan Premier League, yesterday they misfired because Zukericho is a team that was on target.
I'm glad you didn't ask me about that game because I would have fluffed my lines, man. I didn't see this coming. I didn't expect Zukericho, who began yesterday, I think at the bottom of the table or thereabout, to beat Tusker and to beat them 3-1. What a whooping result. And they've come up.
They're actually on the 13th position of the log as we speak, Zukericho. Yeah.
Brilliant. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. Tusker should have come out guns blazing. I mean, in honor of their founder, Mr. Kenneth Matiba, who died just last Sunday. He's the guy who started them. They were known as Kenya Breweries back in the day. They rebranded. They're now Tusker FC. But yes, that's the complexity of the Kenya Premier League. I've done a few leagues here and there, including the Champions League, but I've never done a league so unpredictable, so difficult like the Kenya Premier League. You just never know what's around the corner. Zoo are down there, the next minute, they pop up their heads, and they're raring to come into the top 10. Wazito beating Mathare, who are at the top of the table. Unbelievable. And I think that's the beauty of this, if you're watching from the outside. But if you're here, seated where I am, I'll tell you it's not that beautiful. It's really difficult.
It's really difficult to predict who will win what. Now, we take a look at the games that will be highlighting that menu today because we have a host of matches. And you're talking about Mathare United and how they got some whooping yesterday. Maybe Gor Mahia today will have something to dance about if they secure maximum points against Thika United. You talk about Gor Mahia against Thika United, that game will kick off at 4:15. But the games that actually started earlier, Nakumatt FC against Ulinzi Stars, Sony Sugar against Sports Ranger, Vihiga United against Nzoia Sugar. And when you talk about Vihiga against Nzoia Sugar, not an easy game to call, as you say. So you can't even say who might be winning it.
And then to further complicate it, it's a derby. It's a Western Kenya derby. Now, well, sort of, yeah. But now that gets tricky because of Vihiga United, sometimes they come up. The typical Kenyan team, sometimes they come up and
they're
show their
struggling
true
because
colors.
right now Vihiga United are on the 15th position of that Kenyan Premier League. And Nzoia United seems to be doing what they are doing right because they're on the 9th position.
But this doesn't matter in the Kenyan Premier League. And I've just said
exactly.
It's a game of contradictions. Vihiga United either turn up at times and they show their true colors, at times sort of dismal, at times they just don't turn up at all. And then Nzoia, a bit consistent in terms of getting a point here, 3 points there. You just never know with these teams. But if I'm to put money on it, well, I'm not really a betting person, but if I'm to put money on it, I think I'd go for a draw. But if there's a team that has to win, I think I'd go with Vihiga. And I've lowered my tone. Have you noticed? My big mouth's come a bit.
We call him Prophet Waiyaki because sometimes his predictions passes. As he has mentioned yesterday, some of the things that he had said would became whatever he had predicted. Now, let's take a look at what happened in matters to do with the different